Take 926.
Hello, welcome to my channel. So this video is really just gonna be like an introduction, explaining who I am, talking about like where Uzi came from, where Raiden came from, explaining my dogs, just kind of an introduction post so that you can get to know who we are. So my name is Catherine, but I go by Katie. I am 24. I currently run my own shop out of home. I enjoy activities like such as like going out with friends. I love the beach. Like that's one of my favorite places. That's all fun stuff about me. So let's jump into Uzi.
Hi baby, you're so handsome. You're such a good boy.
Mwah! That's Uzi. For those of you who follow us on Instagram, which is probably where you came from. If not, if you're watching this for like the first time and everything like that, he is my current service dog. So yeah, let's get into the story of where Uzi came from. So to kind of explain a little bit of the backstory, like I'll explain more about Uzi first, obviously, because he is my current service dog. So Uzi's mom is actually Raiden's sister, and I'll explain the whole Raiden and his sister situation in a little bit. But Uzi's mom and Uzi's dad ended up getting together. From what I understand, like it may have been an accident, from what I understand, that it was not intentional, but the story behind Uzi is actually wasn't supposed to have Uzi. Uzi was not supposed to be my dog. At this point in time, I was still working Raiden. It seemed like Raiden was gonna end up retiring out pretty early, so I was on the hunt for a new dog, and I decided that I wanted to look at German Shepherds and I wanted to look at Huskies, because those are the two qualities of Raiden that I love the most. Like, I love the German Shepherds, I love the Huskies. Like, my heart always melts for them. So I was looking at purebred puppies, and I like was pretty much crying every night because all the puppies I was looking at were like $2,500, $5,000, like just a lot of money for me at that point in time. Like, now I'm saving up for my Dane, so like I have a little bit over a year to do it. Like, I'm pretty set and solid in the fact that I believe that I'm gonna be able to do this Dane and not have any issues with it. But when at that point in time in my life, like, I knew that I didn't have $5,000 to drop on a dog. So I ended up reaching out to her. She had the puppies at this point. The puppies were 5 weeks old. And I ended up reaching out to her, and I was like, look, I'm crying to sleep every night. I'm really upset. Like, I don't understand I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm freaking out, but like, do you happen to have any puppies available? And like, if you do, like, I really need a boy, because like, Raiden at that point in time, Raiden gets along really, really well with male dogs. At that point in time, we had like Peaches was getting up there in age, and I didn't want her to feel like she had to fight like another female to be dominant in the house still. News is, I have a boy. And I was like, oh, really? And she's like, but the bad news is somebody really wants him. And I was like, oh, man, like, that really just put like a damper in my day. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I understand that you had already contacted this person, and these puppies are 5 weeks, and like, I know that you found homes for them like weeks ago, but like, really upsets me because I wanted this puppy. And so it was an accident. She ended up calling me the next week. She, at this point, thought the puppies were 8 weeks old, which I get and I understand. Like, it's really easy to lose track of time. Like, I do it. I lose track of time all the time. So, she thought the puppies were 8 weeks old. She gave me a phone call, like, a week after we talked. And she goes, oh, so I have good news and I have bad news. And I was like, well, can you hit me with the good news? Because, like, I'm having a really bad day. I just gotten some, like, information about something going on with my family. And, like, it was really upsetting me. I was already having, like, a horrible day. I was trying really hard not to cry. Like, I was working and just trying to keep my mind off of everything. And I said, well, can you give me the good news? Because, like, been having a really crap day, and, you know, the bad news is kind of the last thing that I need right now. And she said, well, no, I'm going to tell you the bad news because it's going to make the good news even better. And I was like, okay. And she goes, well, the bad news is, like, he really, really wants him. And I was like, great. So there's no good news. Like, I'm not getting a puppy. And she goes, but the good news is he's yours and you can have him. So, like, I was ecstatic. I was so excited that, like, I was getting this puppy. Like, oh, my brain was so happy. And I ended up going that night picking up, like, stuff because, again, she thought he was 8 weeks old. And so I went and I picked everything up, and then, like, I went and got him. Like, I picked up a collar, I picked up an ID tag, I picked up a leash, like, that night. Like, on my way from work. Like, I worked in Ocala, I live in Gainesville, so I drove the hour home from work, went to the pet store, picked everything up, and then I drove the hour up to Jackson, or it was like probably an hour and a half drive up to Jacksonville to get Uzi, and then come back home. So that was a really long night for me, but I ended up with Uzi, and he is amazing, and I love him so much, so much. Like, that is my whole heart right there. But now I'm going to get into Raidens Story.
You bark at everything, don't you? You bark at it all. He's a barker. Barker, barker.
So let's get into Raidens Story. So Raiden actually was definitely an accident puppy. He wasn't made to happen. It was kind of sad. It was a really sad. Raiden has a really sad backstory. So what happened was, at that point in time, I was in a relationship, and my ex's mom had a German Shepherd Husky who ended up getting out, and she bred with a chocolate lab and then came back with puppies. So she came back pregnant. They figured out that she was pregnant, that she was gonna have puppies. They figured out, like, who the dad was, everything like that. So pregnant, and ended up having the puppies. I'll never forget the night that Raiden was born. He was born at 10:23 p.m. on June 23rd, because I was at a We the Kings concert when he was born, and I ended up going there, like, at, like, 10:30 the next morning, because it was kind of a late concert. So, like, I didn't have the energy to drive, like, the hour and a half, like, hour and 45 minutes out to where Raiden was that night. So I drove out there, like, the next morning. I got there, like, around 10:30-ish, walked in, picked up Raiden, and knew, like, immediately that he was gonna be my dog. So I picked him up, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is mine. And so I was over there every single day. Every day. Holding him, loving him. Like, like, the song You Are My Sunshine puts him to sleep, like, immediately. Like, he goes right to sleep. Because I used to sit and hold him, like, in my chest. And, like, he would nuzzle his head up in my neck and, like, use my hair to, like, cover his face. And, like, I would sing that and he would go to sleep. So, like, I was over there every day, like, holding him, loving on him, everything like that. Well, they decided that it would be really cool. The night I left, they were turning 5 weeks old. I left that night. Dogs were in the house, and I came back the next morning, and the dogs were outside. And I said, so did the puppies, like, just get put outside? Like, is that something new that you're starting? Like, I don't know how I feel about that. They're still little babies. And she goes, well, their eyes are open and they can walk and stuff. So they can fend for themselves. They're outside dogs now. So 5 weeks old, Raiden was not going to be sitting outside. Like, that just was not happening. I was not leaving him to fend for himself with snakes and coyotes and all the other things that were located in this area. Like, he was not fending for himself. So I took him home. Raiden came home at 5 weeks old. I did everything that I needed to do to make sure that he was taken care of, and he got everything that he needed as a puppy. He was very well taken care of. I love him with my whole heart. But unfortunately at that point in time, things were really, really rough for us. Probably not going to really talk about that because it's really difficult to talk about. But Raiden has turned into an incredible dog. Raiden has a totally different task set than Uzi does. Just because this is a YouTube video, I'm just like kind of leaving everything short. I know that I've gotten into more details on like live about everything, but that is why I'm leaving this short. But anyway, so Raiden is incredible, and he has a totally different task set than Uzi. He was trained for a different point in my life. I am currently working to train Uzi on the things that Raiden does so that he can kind of do both, if that makes sense. So that is my goal with them, but that is the boys and me. I'll talk about Scott.
So let's talk about Scott.
Me and Scott actually met on a dating app. We had been talking for probably like a month or 2 months. We were talking like every day, like all the time with each other. Like we never like stopped talking to each other. And so the first day that we met, he actually, like, his brother drove him up here, and we went to the springs, and we had a lot of fun. It was definitely an eventful trip. I have lots of funny stories from that trip, and it was a great time getting to know each other. Well, when it came time for him to leave, I didn't want him to go because we had like a really good connection. Like everything went great. We had such a fun day together. Like we enjoyed being in each other's company. So like that first night I really didn't want him to leave, so he ended up staying. He convinced his brother to like come and pick him up in like a couple of days, and a couple of days went by and he still didn't go home, and he never left. He kind of came that first day, and we really determined that like we were meant to be together, and he's been here ever since. He takes care of me on a daily basis, like anything that I need, especially like my really, really low health days where I can like barely get out of bed. He makes sure that like I'm fed for the day, that like I have something to drink all the time. He makes sure that like if I need anything, like he brings it to me. He's definitely a really good like caretaker, and it's amazing, and I love him so much. But that is the story of how me and Scott got together, because like a few months after he like stayed and kind of never left, my mom kind of accepted the fact. My mom loves him. My mom really does. Like she adores him. And so that is the story of Scott. He moved in like all of his stuff a few months later, and that all of his stuff came with him, and he has been here ever since, and we're kind of inseparable. That's how it goes. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will subscribe and like it, and hopefully I'll be able to put more content out soon. Fingers crossed. I hope so. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.